All right. Hello, hello, yogis, and welcome, welcome, welcome. It is day one of our 30-day yoga challenge that is connected to motivation, dedication, and commitment. My name is Jill Entignap, and I am the owner, founder of Yogi Institute. And I'm really happy to be here with you to share this practice with you over the next 30 days. I wanted to do a welcome and introduction video for our first video, where I go through what you'll need over the next 30 days and some basic fundamental yoga postures for any yoga practice, but especially for this 30-day challenge, so that when you show up to your mat, you can feel comfortable and confident in your practice. First off, there are 3 different ways that you can do this 30-day challenge. You can do it from the on-demand portal. All of the videos will live in the on-demand portal from yogiinstitute.com. So that's one way. And if you've registered, you will have access to that whole 30-day library, and you can come back to it over and over again. Another way is on YouTube. These videos will live in a playlist on YouTube, and so you can always access it there. The beautiful thing about YouTube is that you can do it from your TV, your computer, your phone, your tablet, wherever you are, wherever you have an electronic device, you can do this practice from there. And the fourth is within the Yogi Institute Facebook group. I will be posting the videos for each day in the Facebook group. And so you can have access within that Facebook group as well. So whatever you're most comfortable with, choose to do it in that way and know that you can do it in any of the ways. So whenever you're embarking on a new goal, it's so important. It doesn't matter if it's a yoga goal. It doesn't matter if it is a career goal, a family goal, a relationship goal. You want to identify your why. And that's kind of your motivation. So as we move through these 30 days, we are going to dive deeper into what our why is. And as we move through the 30 days, maybe you choose different aspects of your life that you want to focus on when you identify your why. You can come to your mat and you can focus on your why for this 30-day challenge, or you can focus on your why for maybe it is a financial goal. Maybe it is a personal goal. Maybe it is a family goal. Maybe it's a career goal. But knowing your why is really the first step to really committing to accomplishing something. And that's why the commitment piece is so important as well. What are we willing to commit to? And identifying what that is. So I hope that you're here and you're willing to commit to the next 30 days of 30 minutes per day for your practice. And then dedication, diving into our relationship between what we're dedicated to. Are we dedicated to our health and our wellness? One thing about health and wellness is that you can't buy health and wellness. It takes work, it takes commitment, it takes dedication. And when you see someone online who is fit, when you see someone that you want to emulate, you have to know that they are dedicated. You have to know that it doesn't just, they can't purchase the strength that they have in their body. It takes work. So showing up is really important. Now, the 7-day schedule, how this is going to work is that every day of the week, we're going to do a different style of practice. So on Monday, we do our energy vinyasa practice. This is a mobility practice. This builds energy in the body, which I love to start Monday morning with, because sometimes Monday morning you need that extra energy, you need that extra boost. On Tuesday, we're doing a Kundalini practice, and Kundalini is so great for managing emotions and creating transformation in your life. It could be transformation in your belief system. It could be transformation in your body. It could be thinking about things in a different way, but Kundalini is great for transformation and managing your emotions. On Wednesday, we are doing a restorative practice. And our restorative practice is really designed to bring in rest and relaxation and connect us to our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest nervous system. So much of our time is spent in our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight or flight nervous system. And we want to shift more into that rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system. It's also a great time for muscle and body recovery. So it's really important, especially in this 30-day commitment, that we create the space and the time for that recovery period. On Thursday, we step it up and we come into our most physical practice of the whole week, which is our strength practice. We incorporate hand weights into our yoga postures to build physical functional strength. Not big bulky muscles, but physical functional strength. It's great for toning the muscles. It's great for building up core strength, shoulder strength, back strength, quad strength, so that we can move with more confidence throughout our daily lives. And even just a little bit of weight within our postures, within our practice, can make a really big difference in our body. Friday, we shift into our yin practice, and our yin practice is more about stillness and observing the body, observing the mind, observing the breath. So it is a slower practice where we put stress, healthy stress into the body, and we actually have the opportunity to shift our relationship to thinking of stress as a bad thing to thinking of stress as a good thing. Our tissues actually need healthy, intentional stress to be most effective and functional in our body. On Saturday, we pull it all together, and it's a fusion class where we do all 5 of those practices together. And that allows us to create some comparison, some contrast between these different practices to really be able to see, oh, okay, this is the difference between my Vinyasa practice and my strength practice and my restorative practice and my yin practice. So it's a really dynamic class. And then on Sunday, we will do a physical practice, but it's going to be a time for reflection and a time for education. So I'm going to choose a different topic each Sunday, and we're going to maybe journal. You might want to have a journal for this experience. I highly recommend that. And just understand a little bit more about yoga, about the principles of yoga, understanding how yoga incorporates breath. We'll do breath practices, understanding how yoga incorporates focusing the mind and meditative practices. So it's more of an educational reflection type day. Now, if it turns out that there is a type of class that you don't really love, that you're not really excited to do, know that you can do any of these classes on any day. So if you decide that you're like, I really want to do a Vinyasa practice 3 times a week, know that you can do that Vinyasa practice 3 times a week. If you're like, I really feel like I need a restorative practice 3 times a week, know that you can do a restorative practice 3 times a week. So I'm empowering you with the tools for you to decide what's best for you. What matters most to me is your commitment to showing up on your mat and getting consistent for 30 days. The benefits of showing up on your mat, who knows, right? There are mental benefits for our mental health. There are emotional benefits for our emotional well-being. There are physical benefits of this practice. There is a lot of different benefits. It can benefit our sleep. It can benefit our digestion. What I can say is that this practice, it affects us in all of the different systems of the body. So this practice, it affects our circulation. It affects our digestion. It affects our nervous system. It affects our hormones. It affects our immune system. So there's a lot of benefits on all of these different systems within the body that is going to make a difference, and you're going to be able to open your eyes and your heart to see these benefits as you get consistent and as you continue to show up on your mat. For me, And maybe it's not the same for you, but for me, starting my day with my practice was what was the most transformative decision. Why? Because sometimes our day can go sideways. Sometimes once our day actually starts to gain momentum, things unexpectedly can happen. So for me, starting my day with my practice made a big difference in my consistency because I was able to get my practice in first thing, and then it almost didn't matter what happened throughout the rest of my day, if my day went sideways or not, if my attention was needed in other places. I knew that I took care of myself first thing. Now, maybe that's not possible for you, or maybe that is something that you want to incorporate into this 30-day challenge. And if you do, I also want to say, give yourself some grace and know that it can take some time to get up earlier in the morning. It can take some time to feel that drive to get out of bed. But once you get consistent, the body starts to shift and work with you. And I have students who wake up with me at 5:30 in the morning, well, actually at 5 in the morning to be at class for 5:30. And they wake up on those mornings effortlessly, even before their alarm clock goes off, because their body is ready for their practice. So give yourself grace, be patient with yourself, but also if starting your day with this practice is something that you want to do over the next 30 days, force yourself. Even if you have to roll out of bed and you're practicing in your pajamas, I can't see you. I don't know what you're doing, so know that that's okay. Creating the space in your home to practice is really, really important. So maybe it's in your closet. I've had students who have shown up in their closet. That's where the space was. Maybe it's in your basement. Maybe it's in a spare room, but create the space in your home so that you can practice. And then what do you need for this practice? So you can see that I have some props around me right now, and different classes require different props. And what I highly recommend is do what feels right for your body. So, as an example, if you have sensitive knees, bring your blanket to your vinyasa and strength practice so that if we are in tabletop, you can have that blanket underneath your knees. Just know that, okay, I'm going to need my blanket for tabletop. And I know that in my Monday and Thursday class, I'm going to be in tabletop. Now, the blocks, and it can be any blanket. Any blanket will do. Any blanket will add in a little bit of extra comfort. And maybe you're like, I don't have a blanket, but I have a towel. A towel will work too. You can fold up a towel and put that underneath your knees. The blocks. So yoga blocks are really reasonable in price, and you can order them online, or you can go to Walmart, or you could go to Target. They're a very common tool. And they can be any size. But let's say you're like, I can't afford to buy blocks. Anything that has some height to it. So it could be books. It could be a shoe box. It could be a Tupperware container. It could be a different type of box. Anything that just has a little bit of height to it and sturdiness can substitute for a block. Now you can see over here that I have my bolster. I got this bolster on Amazon, and the brand is Tumaz, Tumaz. Now, I really like this bolster and how firm it is. But if you don't want to buy a bolster, a pillow from a king size bed, that would work. A pillow from your bed would work. A long, firm pillow of any kind. I've used patio furniture pillows because those are firmer, but any kind of long, firm pillow will do. And then lastly, we have our hand weights for our strength practice on Thursday. Now, I use 3 pounds. But you can use 1 pound, you could use bottles of water, you could use cans of beans, you could use anything that is of equal weight instead of hand weights. If you prefer to utilize wrist weights that wrap around your wrist, you could do that instead. So finding tools that you have around the house already that work for your body is perfect. There is no, this is right, this is wrong. What is right for you is right. Something that I love about the practice of yoga is that it creates a stronger relationship to ourselves and our bodies. It helps us to understand and identify, this is what's right for me. This is what works for me, to say yes to that internal wisdom. Though I'm here as a teacher to help guide you through this practice, ultimately, you and your body are your greatest teacher. I'm going to say that again. You and your body are your greatest teacher. That being said, let's say that one day you wake up and you're like, I just don't feel like yoga is the right thing for me. I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk, or I'm going to go for a 30-minute bike ride, or I'm going to go for a 30-minute swim. As long as you're practicing something for yourself, something physical, some kind of movement, something intentional, that will count as your 30-day challenge. Also, if you practice in a studio, that will count as your 30-day challenge. This isn't about you being here with me. This is about you showing up for you in whatever way that looks like for you. So if you go to a studio where you are, check that day off. If you go to a spin class where you are, check that day off. If you go out for a 30-minute walk, check that day off. It's more about making a commitment to do something for you than it is about you being here with me. But there will always be a daily video for you if that's what you choose to do within this challenge. So create a space, create the time, get what you need. Of course, your yoga mat as well. That's something else that you might need. Know that you can practice outside. You can practice anywhere that works for you. You can even do the restorative class in bed if you choose. That's totally okay. Let's get into a few of the basic postures and the alignment of those basic postures. So I'm going to move all of my props out of the way just so that I can have my mat nice and clear for me. All right, so the first posture we're going to start with is our child's pose. So coming to the back of your mat, and I encourage you to do this with me. Come to the back of your mat, bring your big toes to touch, walk your hands forward, and let your forehead rest down. Now, you can have a gentle bend in the elbows. Your knees can be more together or more apart. Again, this is a posture that you really want to find what feels right in your body. I encourage you in your child's pose to spread your fingers out wide and open up your palms to the ground beneath you. One thing that I love about this posture is how grounding it is. Letting yourself connect to the earth and just feel into that groundedness. And as you're here, start to become aware of your breath. Feel your inhale expand and your exhale release. And your inhale expand and your exhale release. The breath that we would use in many classes is called the Ujjayi breath. Ujjayi means to control or restrict. So you can gently press your tongue against the roof of your mouth and breathe in and out through your nose. You can feel into that slight constriction in the back of the throat as you press your tongue up. This creates an audible breath. Some people say it sounds like ocean waves. To me, it sounds more like Darth Vader. So whatever you connect to, mind your heart, know that that is what you're looking for, that oceanic, that Darth Vader sounding breath. This breath allows us to move our body breath to movement because of the control that we have over the breath in this breathing technique. So this is our child's pose, and this is the breath that we'll utilize through many of our practices. Next, we're going to shift up into a tabletop position. So like I said, if you have sensitive knees, you may want to have a towel or a blanket underneath your knees in your tabletop position. Now for our tabletop, you really want your shoulder stacked over your wrist and your knee stacked over, or your hip stacked over your knee, and then letting the shoelace out of your feet pressing down. If you have sensitive wrists, you can bring your hands slightly forward, decreasing the angle in the wrist, and that can help decrease maybe that sensation through the wrist. But for me, I like to have my shoulders stacked right over the wrist. Now, for me as well, I have this natural low back curve. So for a neutral tabletop, I have to tuck the tailbone under and create that nice flat back, pressing through the palms. Cat-cow is our next movement, and it is one of the most beneficial movements for our spine that we will do in our practice ever. So cat-cow is something that we do in almost every single class. If you ever can't make it to your mat, I highly recommend cat-cow as early in the morning and taking maybe 7 rounds of cat-cow first thing. So inhale as you drop the belly, arch the spine, lift the gaze. And then exhale as you round the spine, head hangs heavy, tuck the chin to chest, press through the palms and create space between the shoulder blades. Inhale back into your cow, arching the spine, lifting the gaze. Exhale into your cat, rounding the spine, head hangs heavy. Inhale into your cow. Exhale into your cat. Inhale into your cow. Exhale into your cat. Now you decide the rhythm of this movement in your body. As long as you're matching your breath to your movement, that is perfect. That is perfect. So next we're going to shift into our high plank. So walk your hands forward, flip the toes, and press yourself into your high plank. Now for your high plank, you really want your shoulders stacked over your wrists. Hands are shoulder width distance apart. From here, we're going to press up and back into our downward facing dog. So this is the perfect placement for your body in your high plank and down dog. So I need to just walk my feet a little bit forward to feel a little bit more stretch through the back sides of the legs as I sink the heels down. For your down dog, your feet are hip width distance. Hands are a little bit wider at shoulder width distance. Really press the heels of the palm into the mat and spread your fingers out wide to help distribute that weight. Sink your chest a little bit more to your thighs as you sink your heels a little bit more down. We're really looking for that upside down V shape here in our down dog. Let's shift ourselves forward back into our high plank. For your high plank, really engage through your core. You want to have one solid line of energy from the heels through the crown of the head. We're going to lower all the way down to our stomach and flip the toes, shoelace side down. Keep the elbows tucked in, coming into a cobra pose. So for the cobra pose, the only thing that lifts up is the chest and the gaze stays down on the floor in front of you. To have a little bit more activation through the low back, you can press the tops of the feet into the mat and feel the knees lift off. That creates some more stability through the low back. Let the legs relax, press into the palms, coming into our upward facing dog. So for the cobra, there's little to no weight in the palms and it's just the chest lifting up and the gaze stays down. For our up dog, we're pressing through the palms and we're lifting the gaze up. So that's the difference between those two. Now, when we come through our chaturanga or our vinyasa, let's come down. You can either come into your cobra, little lift, or come into your up dog. It's completely up to you and your body if you decide to come to here or to here. Flip the toes, press the hips up and back, all the way back into your downward facing dog. Let's take a couple deep breaths in our down dog. As we look forward, start to walk the feet forward. You can take multiple steps or one, totally up to you. Now we're coming into our forward fold, letting the head hang heavy. You can keep some space between your feet or have the toes and heels touching. I prefer the toes and heels touching. You really want to release any tension from the neck and let the head hang heavy. Really feel into this through the backside of the body. You'll start to feel some sensation really fire up here. Sensation is the body's language. It's how the body communicates to us, through us. So we can stay nice and curious about that sensation and be committed to learning the body's language. What is the body telling us? Right now, the body's telling me that there's some tension through my hamstrings. Totally normal. It's one of the two tightest parts in the whole body. I'm feeling some tension through the hips. I'm feeling that I want to let my head really hang heavy and my hands drape down. Coming into our halfway lift, hands come to shins, sink the hips back and lengthen the crown forward. You're wanting to create a nice flat back here. What I see most often with students is that they don't really lift the body up. This is an active pose. Use that core engagement as you sink your hips back and lengthen your body, your crown forward. Come into that forward fold. Let's take a bend in the knees as we slowly rise all the way up to our mountain pose. So mountain pose is meant to be done with a neutral spine. And it is a very stable posture. Think about a mountain. Mountains are very stable. So either your toes and heels are touching or there's a little bit of space between the feet. As long as the big toes are pointed straight forward at 12 o'clock, that's perfect alignment for your body. So if your toes and heels touch and it feels like there's some internal rotation through the hips, bring some space between those feet. It completely depends on your body. Now, tuck the tailbone under and feel that engagement through the core. When we engage, we're creating that nice, strong, stable foundation. Get nice and tall from the tailbone through the crown of the head and roll the palms forward as you draw the shoulders away from the ears. This is our mountain pose. We're going to step the left foot back, keeping the right foot forward, and come into our warrior one. So when we line up our feet with that warrior one, we want the front foot to point straight forward. It almost like the leg is coming straight out of the hip socket. That front foot is pointed straight forward. The back foot's at a 45-degree angle. So it's pointed kind of toward the top left corner of the mat. Then you want to bend into the knee, stacking the knee over the ankle. Square the hips forward. I like to take my hands onto my hips and actually square them forward. If there's resistance there, that means that your hips are tight and you may need to widen the stance for your warrior one. Widen your stance to a point where you can get your hips forward. And you'll notice that as we move through this month, your hips will start to open and your stance may start to come more together. But it's okay if that doesn't happen too. But you really want to make sure that the knee is stacked over the ankle, hips and shoulders are pointed forward, and then you reach through your fingertips, spin your pinkies in, and draw your shoulders back and down. There is our warrior one. Press into the outside edge of the back foot for stability and the big toe on the front foot. Really feel into that nice, stable warrior one. Step the back foot forward as we shift into our warrior two on the other side. So your right foot steps back and parallels the back side of your mat. So you want that foot to be nice and parallel toward the back side of your mat. Front foot is pointed straight forward. Now the alignment with your feet for this one is you want arch to heel alignment. So if you were to draw a line straight back from the back arch to the front heel, that's the alignment you want. Your front knee is stacked over your front ankle. Your arms are reaching from side to side. Your chest is open and your gaze is forward over the front middle finger. really get engaged through the hands so that if I was there with you, if I walked up and tried to pull your arm down, there would be some resistance there. Press into the outside edge of that back foot, gaze forward. Let's flip the front palm, inhale, reach forward, and exhale, reverse your warrior. So your front hand comes back, your back hand comes down, you maintain the bend in your front knee. So you'll see that as you reverse your warrior from a warrior two, your feet don't move. Your lower body actually doesn't move. The only thing that moves is the upper body to come into that reverse warrior. Come back into your warrior two, and let's meet with the feet together in our mountain pose. So that really is some basic postures: child's pose, tabletop, cat-cow, plank pose, down dog, up dog, cobra, mountain, warrior one, warrior two, reverse warrior. We will use those different postures, those basic postures all month long. Let's meet back in a seated position. Every day, we will use an intention to focus our mind on. So today's intention is, I am filled with motivation and energy to tackle my goals. I am filled with motivation and energy to tackle my goals. You're starting a 30-day journey to create and cultivate a stronger relationship to yourself, to your understanding of what motivates you, what you're dedicated to, and what commitment means to you. Again, my name is Jill Enticknap, and I am so excited to share this 30-day journey with you. I can't wait to see you tomorrow for our Vinyasa practice and day number 2. I hope that you found this video useful and clarifying for the 30-day challenge. Yoga has been one of the most transformative tools that I have found in my life. It has absolutely changed my life. It has changed who I am. It has even changed who I want to become. So create the space in your life for you to show up on your mat for the next 30 days. I am so excited to share this journey with you. The light, the love, the wisdom in me sees, honors, reflects, and encourages the light, the love, the wisdom in you. Namaste. If you don't know what namaste means, just means that the light in me honors the light in you. And I just added into that with the beginning part of it. If you're ever not comfortable saying namaste, that's okay. But for me, it's just such a beautiful, heartwarming, heart-connecting blessing and acknowledgement. I hope to see you again on your mats tomorrow and for the next 30 days. Let's stay committed to this until we meet again. May your light be your guide.